All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have a little guest today, Billy Schwer. Bill,
Get
nice.
ready to rumble.
Mate, thank you so much for your time today. It'd be good to get your little insight into, what you're doing, where you're at. So just tell our viewers, like, obviously who you are, what you're doing, etc.
Okay, so my name's Billy Schwer. Thank you very much for that intro. I was waiting for a bigger one than that.
Oh, sorry.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Jesus.
So anyway, I'm a former British, Commonwealth, European, and World Boxing Champion. So that's my past life. So what I do now is I've recently written a book called Man Up the World Champion Way, and I'm a personal performance coach. I'm a professional speaker, so I work with companies, I go in-house, work with teams, how to get your team punching above their weight. And I work with individuals, and I've created a success model. So it's called the 12-round Billy Schwer experience. So we work together for 12 weeks. It's like a training camp. We go into a training camp. Boxing is my metaphor. So boxing is a great metaphor for life, right? Because we know that. And it's a great metaphor for business too, because it's a battle. It's challenging. It's confronting. You get knocked down a bit. You get bashed up, and it's you come back, right? It's about how you can come back.
100%, mate. 100%. We were going to talk about today. That, there was a title that you gave us on how to win more often. So talk to us a bit about that. Because obviously there's a lot of people at the moment coming out of this sort of lockdown feeling a bit low,
Yes. So how to win more often, because that's a great topic. It's a great subject. So we'd all like to win more often. So I call it winning more often, not winning every time, because it's kind of impossible to win every time. If we can win more often, consistently over time, we will eventually win the game. So the first thing to look at for the guys listed is, the first, if you just take this away from tonight, it's like how to win more often. You simply got to think that you can. And if you start to believe and think that you can win more often, watch out, because you will start winning more often. Well, I've created a 7-step winning formula, which is the access to winning more often. So there's 7 steps. So step number 1 is win or lose, you choose. So it's about the choices that you're making, because life after lockdown, right? So we've made some choices in the lockdown. Some would have been good, some would have been bad, some would have eaten too much, some would have drunk too much, we could have got lost in the lockdown. But it's about how are we gonna recover from the lockdown? So what's next? This period of our lives was so unpredictable. So now it's about stepping up and win or lose, you choose. It's about for us now to be a bit unpredictable. Who's going to show up? And it's about the choices that you're making on a daily basis. That's going to create life after lockdown. So it's so key, because if you think about it, the choices that we've made in the past has got us to where we are right now. So we got to create and design the future, which is all going to be based upon the choices and the decisions that we make moment by moment by moment by moment every day. So it's being conscious.
So, Bill, if someone was just starting, they're coming out of lockdown, they're thinking, what direction do I need to go? Like, what's that first stage? What is that first step to get people to focus in exactly what it is that they're wanting to, move forward with?
So it's really clear, right? So you said it there. It's about you need to be really clear on where you're going. Where is the end destination? Where are we moving towards? Because I talk about desire, right? Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It's the first principle of success, knowing what you want. So you need to know what you want. You need to know where you're going. And then what will happen is you'll find a way and you'll figure out, and you've got to be disciplined. You've got to get whatever you guys like, training the body. Then my brand is mental boxing. It's about the mind. It's about challenging yourself physically, mentally, nutritionally, and treating yourself as a whole, as an athlete. It's like looking at yourself as an athlete and then just moving towards, but you need to be really clear on where it is that you're going, because a lot of people are not really clear. They don't really know what they want or where they're going. And so then what they do is they focus on what they have, or even worse still, they may focus on the past. So if we get stuck in the past or we get stuck in this lockdown, we're going to get more of it. We're going to get stuck and it's going to be chaotic. So we need to get out of our heads and into a future, but a future that we've created and designed, a compelling one and an exciting one that we want to live into. And that's the first thing first.
You're going to lose your direction, aren't you? Totally.
Absolutely. And that's it. We got to be clear on our direction and where we're going.
I think a lot of people seem to focus on what they haven't got. Yeah, that sort of negative. I haven't got enough money. I haven't got, X, Y, and Z. And it's completely that. What you're trying to say to us is it's the opposite. You got to understand what it is that you do want and focus on that instead of what you haven't got. Is that
absolutely? Because you know what, you said it so well. Because if you keep focusing on what you don't have or what you don't want, what happens?
Yeah.
You get more of it.
You get more of it, yeah.
You get more of what you don't want.
Yeah.
So you've got to be so careful of your thoughts, so where you're placing your thoughts and your intention and your energy. Because
so how would you go about that? Obviously, for someone to just take a little nugget away from this first stage of that, they're obviously listening to this chat and they're going, well, all right, okay, I understand that maybe I want more money, or I want a better career, or I want a new relationship, or whatever it may be. Yeah. How do you focus that particular client? What's that first stage? Do they do like storyboards? Do they write out, grateful? I don't know. What would their sort of...
Well, you've said it all there. I couldn't even put it any better because it's about focus.
Yeah.
Where focus goes, energy flows. So it's where you placing your focus, and that's a great thing. Storyboarding, writing it down, sharing it with somebody. Have a team of people, because without teamwork, the dream don't work. So it's about having a very, very guarded little unit, a little team of people that you can share with, that you feel safe with, because you've got to be careful who you're sharing this stuff with, because we're creating dreams and inspiration and desires, and it's like.
Do you think there's a sort of, say you're a smoker, right? Yeah. Generally, you're going to be hanging around with smokers. If you're a drinker, you're going to be hanging around with, when you're in a gym environment, you hang around with people that do gym work. If you're now changing your mindset into a different path, do you think that group of friends is going to be completely different?
You might have to sack a few of your mates. But here's the thing, right? You said it again.
You might have to knock them out. Is that what you're saying?
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. So here's the thing, Chris. We are a product of our environment. And you said it again so well. Who you surround yourself with. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? Because you're going to be a product of that. So surround yourself with the right people that are going to uplift you. Because if you think about it, if we're uplifting one another, all ships are going to rise together. If we can empower and support each other, we're all going to get what we want. And that's what's available.
All right. So that first stage is obviously understanding where it is you kind of generally want to get to. And that I'm assuming that what you feel like you should be getting to may change. It could change into something a different direction. Yeah.
And that's okay.
What would be the next stage on? What's like stage number 2 of your 7?
So step number 2 is KO fear.
Okay.
KO fear, right? So if you can imagine, right? So we want stuff in our lives, but there's things that may get in the way. Win or lose, you choose. You may choose a future, but there's stuff that's going to come up and get in the way, and one of them may be fear. So it's about looking at and confronting and challenging your fears. I love this acronym, FEAR. Face everything and rise. I love that, right? So if you can learn to confront, challenge, and overcome your fears, then you'll be able to produce results in the face of any circumstance. And that's what we're looking at, because we're going to come up against people, situations, circumstances. You're going to get knocked back. That's why boxing against the metaphor. You're going to get put on your ass. You got to keep rising again. And going again.
You put yourself into uncomfortable situations, and before long, you keep putting yourself into those uncomfortable situations, but then that becomes the norm. You know how to deal with them, and then you just keep moving on. So unless you take that first step of getting into that uncomfortable position, you're never going to do it.
Are we sort of saying that uncomfortable position is maybe a good like alarm bells for people to go, you're changing your path? Does that kind of make sense?
it's kind of, you need to get away. You need to, first and foremost, is being conscious. Because a lot of us are going through life unconscious. We're not really aware of really what's going on.
Yeah.
If we can wake ourselves up and get present to everything around us, and then the choices that we're making, they're conscious choices. Because a lot of us are just going through the day unconsciously, and we end up in pathways or where we didn't really think that we wanted to go on, but we kind of ended up there. We've all done it. We've all made decisions. We've all ended up in places that we didn't really want to end up in. And it's like, it's just unconscious. Just getting conscious is the key.
Okay. So what would be the next stage? What's stage number 3? So you've found what you want, got over your sort of fear factors, you keep challenging them.
Fight for what you want. So you mentioned it earlier. So again, we talked about desire, fighting for what you want. So it's having clarity of purpose, knowing what you want, and then you can hatch a plan. So if you're clear on an outcome, which could be 3 months away, 6 months away, 12 months away, however long, and you should have little attainable goals along the way and milestones that we can hit along the way. And you've got to fight for what you want, but having clarity of the outcome, that's so important. And then you hatch a plan with a team of people around you, with coaches, with supporters. You hatch the plan, and then you fight until the plan's done.
You're going to come up with that negative sort of battle though all the time, aren't you?
And that's mental boxing, right? That's my brand, mental boxing.
Yeah.
Because the internal dialogue, the voice in our heads, the thing that stops us. Can I? Can't I? I'm not good enough. I don't fit in. I'm not going to get it right. I'm going to look stupid. Those conversations that we have with ourselves, that's the mental boxing match that we're going to have.
Yeah.
So we've got to overcome ourselves. What you got to do is break the habit of being yourself. Because you can imagine, it's breaking free from the constraints of yourself. So if you can do that, the whole world will open up for you. The world will occur differently because you've got no constraints. You're free to really be and do and have what you want. Because anything's available and anything's possible.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to fight for it.
I mean, Joel, do you find like when, obviously we're in a sort of a weight loss sort of industry, that when that particular client loses weight, things in their life can completely change? They sort of have that sort of change in belief, don't they?
We've seen like the person that loses, like their confidence goes up through the roof. Suddenly they change their job. They might change their partner. We've all seen it.
Yeah.
And life changed just by having a bit more confidence. But that's just that one goal that they've achieved. Say they want to lose a stone. They know they're clear in their mind. They want to lose a stone. That's why I want to get A to B. They achieve that. Then other things seem to happen just by having clear goals.
So how do we then, Bill? How do we then get to the point where we're sort of, you've obviously keep replicating that same thought process. I mean, what's the next sort of stage?
So step number 4 is you're only as good as your next fight. So what that means is you're only as good as the future that you're living into. Because if you think about in business, right, if you're a salesperson, you do a deal, then that deal's done. Then you've got to go to, it's all about the next deal. So as an individual, if you're an individual, it's about creating and designing that future, because that's all you've got. Because the past is the past. So the way that I refer to this one, when I challenged for the world title for my second attempt, Wembley Arena, I was ranked number 1 in the world, fighting the very best, a guy called Stevie Johnson. He was brilliant. So the fight started, and this guy, he's so quick, right? He's so quick. He's brilliant. He's the best in the world. The fight goes 12 rounds. So I go to the center of the ring, and I'm awaiting the decision. And I'm thinking the internal dialogue, did I do enough? And I lost on points. So that they make the announcement, and the winner is Stevie Johnson. But the thing was, there was a lot of controversy after the fight because he failed the drug test. No wonder I couldn't catch him. He was so quick. I hate people who take drugs. The police, customs and excise. Do you get that one?
Yeah.
But anyway, right, so what happened was he got offered a technicality, and I was so disappointed. I was so upset. I was so pissed off. But what I realised, for us to produce world-class results, we got to be powerful in the face of adversity, setbacks and defeat. we haven't got to let those things stop us. So you're only good as, so I had to let, a lot of us get stuck in the past, and we dwell in the past, and we dwell in the past mistakes that we may have made, or what's happened, or situations, circumstances. But what I learned from that experience was you've got to let the past go, because you ain't the past. You are not the past. The past is not the future. So we have to, so you're only good as that future that you're creating.
So what did you do? What did you do on the second time? Did you believe that you were going to be you were a better fighter than he was?
So that was the second attempt where I got beat.
Yeah.
No, I got beat. He beat me up.
No, sorry. So, but did you sort of mentally, you were saying that that he was a better fighter than you. Is that something that you would have learnt to sort of change your mindset for another fight?
Yeah. So you go again. So what I learned was from a very young age. Remember, I started boxing when I was 8 years of age. I had my first contest when I was 11. So I'm 11 years of age, and I start boxing. So I become a national champion when I was 13.
Wow.
So since I was 13, I was always competing at the elite level. I was always in the top 5 of the country, then Europe, and then the world. It was like I was on that level. And the stress of it was unbelievable. The pressure, the stress of it. So I got trained from a very young age to handle the fear and overcome fear. I mean, there was one particular fight when I was 13. I was boxing in the national schoolboy finals, and it was going to be decided who was the best in the whole country. It was my turn to box. Now, my dad was my coach. So we put the gloves on before we step up into the ring. And I'm just about to put the gloves on. And I look at my dad and I say, Dad, I can't do it. Dad, I can't do it. I was petrified. I couldn't sleep the night before. I couldn't eat anything. I was an absolute wreck. I said, Dad, I feel sick. I'm going to be sick. So my dad said, Jesus, what do you mean you're going to be sick? That's a Paddy, right, from Luton. So he said, what do you mean you're going to be sick? Well, go and be sick then. And he clipped around the back of the ear. And I ran off and I found somewhere to be sick. And I actually threw up. I was violently sick. So I wiped the sick from my mouth. I come back to see my dad. I put the gloves on and I step up into the ring, a petrified 13-year-old kid, boxed my heart out for 3 rounds, and I become a national champion. So I realized in that moment, if I can find the courage, if we can find the courage to step up, to put ourselves at risk, be prepared to fail, we can succeed. But it takes courage to confront. So for everyone listening, is what area of your life would you like to have more courage in? And that's the thing, is it in your self-expression, the conversations you'd like to have that we don't have? Yeah. What you don't, it's that's the inner power that we all possess. It's unlocking it. It's having the courage.
So just going back to what you were saying, like who was your old man, your mentor, your sort of person who taught you these ways, or?
Yeah, so my dad's been in my corner for all of my fights.
Yeah.
So my dad taught me how to box when I was 8, right through amateur. So I turned pro at 21. So I had nearly 100 amateur fights. Turned pro, I had 45 pro fights. My dad was he couldn't be in my corner for some of the fights because when you're boxing for your country, they don't allow other trainers to be in the corner. So he was in my corner for most of my fights. And he's been in my corner in the ring and out the ring, because I've been through some stuff outside the ring as well, which we may share if you want to.
Yeah, of course, mate. I mean,
that's been the hardest battle.
Yeah, well, outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. After all your fights, like, is that the?
Yeah. So my biggest challenge and the biggest toughest fight that was the transition that I had from being a professional boxer to life in the real world. Now, I went through an identity crisis. I struggled. I thought my whole life I've been Billy the boxer. So I won the world title, ended up in hospital. It wasn't quite as sweet as I thought it was going to be. I'm in hospital for 2 days. We'd organised a big after-fight party in Luton. And everyone goes to the party and I go to hospital. I'm in hospital for 2 days. So everyone's getting really drunk in Luton without me. And everyone go, where's Billy? Where's Billy? And I'm stuck in the Luton and Dunstable Hospital for 2 days. Champion, I'm the world champion. So me being me, I'm reckless, I'm mindless, I'm impatient, I'm greedy, I'm stupid. I had my first defence only 3 months later. And I remember training for that fight and I got punched in the head and I thought, wow, this don't feel right. But me being me, didn't talk to anyone about it. I carried on. I had my first defence, and I got knocked out in the 11th round. Bang! Game over. So I go back to hospital, but this time I travel in style. I go in the back of an ambulance. I'm leaving Wembley in the back of an ambulance on a Saturday night, and I'm looking out the window. The sirens are blaring. We're dodging through the traffic, and I'm looking out the window. I think, this is it. This is it. I had a friend of mine killed in the ring, and I know guys that have been brain damaged. And I thought, this may be it. But the thing was, I used to step into the ring prepared to die. My life was kill or be killed. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm about to die because brain damage, blood clots. It's frightening. So in the back of the ambulance, that was when I realised my life as I know it was over. And that was when I made the toughest decision I've ever made. I mean, life-changing decisions, they're tough. So I made one in the back of the ambulance, and it's like, I've got to retire from boxing because I love my life. I love life. I want to be alive. So that was when my kind of world fell apart, because unconsciously, what I didn't realize at the time, I made an unconscious decision that my life is over. What's the point? So 2 years of depression. I wrecked my marriage. I went through ended up in divorce. I ended up going bankrupt. I got caught up in the last recession in 2008. I had my home repossessed. I had no money. I had nothing. I moved back with my parents. I crashed. I had a mental breakdown, and I hit the bottom. And that was when I realized I need to make some changes, because what I was doing and who I was being just wasn't working. Because what had me be a champion in the boxing ring was now having me fail outside. It was like a paradox. That winning formula over there, aggression, dominance, overpowering, selfish, always right. It doesn't work in a marriage. Ask my ex-wife, she'll tell you. It just didn't work. And so I kind of hit the bottom, and I realized that I need to make some changes. So I was in the depths of despair. There were times when I was having suicidal thoughts. I was in a dark place. It was tough. But where I'm at today is so far removed from then, because here I am sitting here with you guys, and I'm happier, more fulfilled and satisfied than I've ever been ever.
So how did you bring yourself out of that?
I went to work on myself. And that's when I created my 7-step winning formula. That's why I put it into a book, because it's all in the book.
Did you have someone that helped you with it?
I've got a great team of people. I've been working on myself for the last 18 or so years. For first and foremost, the journey that I went was for my own sanity. I had to figure myself out because I was in a bad place, and I had to get out of there because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, that old cliche. But I was saying that to myself. I was in a dark place and I had to get out of it. But back in the day, mental health wasn't really talked about or discussed as openly as it is now. This was 18 years ago. And I'm an egotistical boxer. And I'm thinking I should be able to figure this out. I kind of bludgeon my way through it, and I make every mistake that you can. I just couldn't figure it out. And I kept just I was stuck.
Yeah, it's a common theme. When someone's been at your level, like world champion, Ricky Hatton, Frank Bruno, they've all been through the same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you hear it time and time again. And it's just like yourself now, you're doing something to get yourself out of those doldrums, but it's almost like you need like a step through step. Once you've been at that high, it's like, how do you get off that high and then, as you say, integrate back into real life?
Yeah, I'm a cliche. I am the cliche, and you've mentioned a few fighters there, but it's not only boxers, rugby players, football players.
Oh, yeah.
There's people that go further beyond me. There's suicide. There's guys that commit suicide because they can't deal with it.
So the book is going to help them type of people out.
It's all for that, because I figured it out. So how do I get a 10 out of 10 life? I'm a 10 out of 10. So how'd you get that? And that's what I figured out. And that's what I'm out to share with the world. Because my vision in life is, listen, I'm out to rock the world and cause a phenomenon, right? And you're going to help me. You guys are going to help me.
100%.
So my mission in life is the transformation of the middle-aged man. Can you imagine if the world was full of transformed middle-aged men? Their relationships with their partners, their kids, their business, the world would be a different place if we could wake up and just clock on to ourselves, because the guys that work with, a lot of us are unconscious. So consciousness is so important to wake up. I want to wake people up. Wake up.
Do you think they've got? Do you think they've got to get to that bottom level though? You know, as you just said, that we're men that don't want to really be told. So if you're going to get to a point where you have to be at that really hit rock bottom,
yeah,
to kind of go, shit, this ain't right.
Maybe, because maybe not necessarily slow, but I wasn't that smart. So if you were smarter, you would learn off other people's mistakes, because it's having foresight rather than hindsight. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it's too late. If we could have some foresight, and also listen, you've got to go on your own journey, because where you're at is where you're at, and your path it's like we have a default future. It's kind of written already. Like as an athlete, the default future is you retire, you get depressed, you wreck your marriage, you end up all of that is kind of just it's the pathway, right? And we've seen it numerous times. So it's interrupting that pattern. You've got to disrupt your thinking. And that's why I've created the 7 steps. So we was up to, you're only going to the future. So when you retire from anything, there is no future. So you have to create and invent a future, which is very, very challenging if you're lost. So then the next step it's about taking it on the chin. So step number 5 is take it on the chin, because life is not always going to go your way. And we know that. And as you get older, you kind of get to experience that things don't always work out the way you planned it or the way that you want it to. And you've got a few miles on the clock, and it's like, okay, so you have to be with that and accept that and take that on the chin. But it don't mean you're down and out, because it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get up, right? And that's the secret. That's the secret.
Rocky, I think. I've still got it on my wall.
And that's it. And we can all relate to that, right? Guys our age.
I said he hadn't seen Rocky. Yeah, he watched right up to 6. Many lessons in life from Rocky, and I'm sure that's why I'm my personal trainer.
That's it. And that's it. So we have to take things on the chin. So I'll go for step number 6.
Yes.
Jab and move, right? So jab and move. So as boxers, we're always looking for angles, jabbing. So jabbing and moving is always, that gives us the opening, the opportunity for new ways of winning. So jab and move is all about looking for the angles, looking for new ways of winning, because if things are not working out for you, you've got to make some changes. You've got to look at things differently, get some coaching, look at things from a different perspective, because a lot of us get stuck and we just think that this is the way that it is. So I talk about breaking the habit of being yourself again. If you could dismantle yourself, then the whole world occurs differently. And that's the secret. But you can't do that on your own. It's impossible.
I think you have to, I've employed other coaches to help me coach my career. And I think that's one thing that who did we talk to, Jolie? Was it who we were talking to? But they were saying that, everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs someone to be accountable to keep them motivated. Sorry, mate?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I'm coming up to that 40 age, and I think it's at a point where you've had ups and downs up to this point. If you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're still making them mistakes. Well, I believe they're still making them mistakes. And if you've been lucky enough that you continue to accelerate, great for you. But I've definitely made a lot of mistakes throughout my career.
Yeah.
And as long as I've learnt from them and but I've had to ask people for help, like obviously I've asked Jolie for a lot of help throughout my career. There's lots of people that I'm still around that I respect enough that they keep pushing me forward. And I think that's what that's what you're saying.
I'm always here for you also as well, if you need that stuff.
Yeah.
So right, we all need support. We all need help. None of us are perfect. We ain't perfect. Nobody knows everything.
No.
So if you gather yourself around some good people, then we could all get to where we want to get to.
I've always
help is a big thing. It always has been. For someone to ask for help is a big thing, for a big, sort of alpha male sort of.
You're putting your ego aside.
Yeah, massively.
I know what I'm doing. I've done this for 20 years. I don't need anyone else to tell me how to do it. 100%. I think we should all ask. And if you don't know, I think this is somewhere where I've come from. If you don't know what your future needs to be, you need to keep asking questions. You just keep asking more people, more advice. Like, how did you make your first million? How did you do that? What did you do here? How did you win, be British champion? How did you I think that's what I've really enjoyed about these chat rooms, is speaking to lots of different people on how they've become successful. And I've definitely taken a lot of things from a lot of people through all of our chats. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think if you can have someone that you can keep asking questions and keep developing yourself, I think that's always a positive.
Accountability, it's banned around a lot about accountability, but God, it's huge, isn't it?
Well, that's why people come and see us, just to be accountable. They know what they should eat. They know how they should train. They know how they should go to sleep. They know, but it's just about being accountable to someone going, oh, well, this happened, or yeah. Right, what's stage number? What are we at? 7.
It's a willingness. It takes a willingness. So step number 7 is box clever, which is basically what you just said there. It's about creating. It's about really in looking at and using the first 6 steps and incorporating them into your life and use it as a way of being. But step number 7 is surrounding yourself with the team. It's about, without teamwork, the dream don't work. Just exactly what you've just said is about that. And it takes a willingness and a courage, and to really just get, okay, wherever you're at is okay. You're just where you're at. The future is a creation. So the best way to predict the future is to invent it, right? So you invent it and create it moment by moment. And that's win or lose, you choose. But every moment of every day, you choose that. Well, we think we don't choose to lose, but we do. Because if you're not taking the required actions or diet, nutrition, then you're choosing to lose.
Yeah.
We don't think of it like that because we go unconscious and we go off track. We end up down somewhere. We think, how did I end up here? And it's like, you've chosen that unconsciously. If you're present and if you're conscious, you're not going to choose that. You're going to choose you're going to choose the right thing, the thing that you know you need to do. And then you might need accountability. You might need a team. You might need support. You might need help. You might need to unravel and unwrap yourself a little bit to get the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. Because once you can break those patterns, then things become different. Because you're just repeating patterns. We've all got them.
Yeah. I think if you wanted, so if there was something that you truly believed that you wanted, and you've been trying to get it for a long period of time, it's come from my own experience, and it's just not happening, and you just keep hitting a wall after a wall after a wall, it takes someone like a mate to kind of go, well, maybe this isn't the right path for you to be going down. As you're saying, you're fighting your corner constantly, trying to get to where you believe that you should be, but you're not there yet. So maybe it's not the true fight that you need to be in. You need to be redirecting that energy into somewhere else. And I think that's where people, failure in relationships, failure with, making sure their bank account looks good, not picking up enough clientele. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Well, maybe you're going about it the wrong way, or maybe you're not.
Yeah, that's picking the right question. Well. You've got to pick your fights.
Mate, I love the fact, right, to trying to explain mental health to guys is a very difficult conversation to have. Yeah. But I love the way, Billy, that you're taking the sport and the phrases, and I'm definitely going to be nicking a few of your phrases because I think it's a really good way to kind of embed the message that you're trying to get across to people and for them to remember it. It's not all like bullshit, it's not all this sort of talking about your feelings. It's I like the fact of what you're saying and put in the acronyms with it that really like connects and now I understand what you're talking about.
Relatable, yes.
Relatable, exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah, relatable.
If you could connect with somebody, so speak into their hearts and their minds. So if you could connect with their hearts and their mind, and it's relatable, they'll probably remember it. Yeah. And it could. So that's what I'm doing with the work that I'm doing. I'm doing all this, and I'm speaking into the unconscious. So they're getting it whether they like it or not, and they're left with an experience of something. So then 2 or 3 days later, it might drop into their conscious mind, and that's the work. And it's over time. And it's about, we're in a gap. There's always a gap. People give up too early because they're in the gap. They want to get somewhere. They're in the gap, but there's always somewhere to get to. But there's always a gap. Life is just a gap. Yeah. So it's being comfortable about being in the gap towards getting somewhere. And what I've learned to do is, and I've understand this for myself, and I've grappled with it for a long time, is I keep wanting more. And I'm thinking, once I get that, then I want something else. And I've kind of grappled with that. I think, well, okay, well, I'm okay with that now, because I wasn't happy because I thought that I wanted that thing. Then when I got it, then I wasn't happy because now I wanted that thing. I've kind of figured that bit out. And it's just a human trait that we have. Yeah. Human beings will always want more. And it's okay to want more. There's nothing wrong with want more. Have everything that you want, but don't think that happiness sits there. Because I've grappled with this. Happiness is not in the car. It's not in the house. It's not in the lifestyle. It's not in the clothes or the restaurants. Happiness is not there. That stuff makes you feel good, and it kind of gives you a little buzz for a little while, but happiness is an inside job. So it's about discovering happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction. That's an inside job, and that's the work that I do, and that's the work to look at, because once you've got that, then you're invincible, you're bulletproof, because you want for nothing and you're going to get everything, and you're on the way to having it, but you're okay in the gap.
Yeah.
In a gap.
I had this great, exactly what you were just saying. It's a great visual thing that I use is if you imagine you're climbing a mountain, yeah, or you're cycling up a mountain, in your case, Jolie, right? You get to the top, right? And you think, oh, no, this was good. Like, I've made it to the top of the mountain. But then you see there's a mountain that's even bigger in front of you, and you're thinking, oh, Jesus, now I want to climb to that one. But I think if you have this visual thought of actually turning around and having a little look down and seeing what you've actually achieved in that time, that's good. This is a good stepping stone. You know, I didn't think I would be able to do this. Now I'm here. Right, cool. Now I can turn back around and I can keep projecting it forward onto a bigger thing. So I think you're right.
What you have,
great analogy.
Yeah.
What's that, Joe?
The reflection of what you have achieved. It's stopping, just taking that reflection time, seeing what you have achieved.
Yeah. And I think this lockdown for me has given me that clarity of, you know, I've got over a lot of fear things about not being in a place that I always felt like I needed to have a venue to work. You know, and I've had to work from my garage, and I've still got lucky, and I feel privileged that I've got a lot of clients that have continuously supported me through this time. And it's actually, you know, it's actually evaluating and going, Jesus, like, this is good. Yeah. You know, I still achieved what I want to achieve without having what I thought I needed. Does that make sense? So it's good, mate.
Yeah.
Billy, look, I just want to finish this off with a couple of things. Like, who inspires you right now? Like, who do you follow? Who do you read about? You know, who do you sort of keep yourself motivated?
I meditate most days. I'm into a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. I do a lot of his work. All the just well-being stuff, really. I don't really follow anyone in particular. I don't look up to anyone. I'm just living my life, and I'm just generating it every day. My main thing in life is I want to wake up in the morning and I want to feel good. So that's my main focus, is feeling good.
So what's your day consist of then? What's a morning consist of?
It varies, right? So some days I might get up at 4 o'clock and meditate for 2 hours. But I'm getting back into my running at the moment, so I might get up at 4 or 5 o'clock and do it. I'm up to a great analogy again is about running, right? So I've not been running for a long time, and I've been running now for 6 weeks, and I'm up to 10 miles. So I again, but weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they were ugly. It hurt. It was painful, and I hated it. But I'm up to 10 miles, and it ain't pretty still, but I've done the work, and it didn't. So it took the time, it took the effort to get to do 10 miles. So I'm back into my running. So again, I'll either do a run in the morning, and then I either run, meditate, nutrition, hydrate. I do fasting. I'm into fasting. I take the right supplements, and then I create my day. I have a coaching call first thing in the morning with a client. We talk every morning, set him up for the day, and then I do Zoom stuff, and I'm kind of just creating my day. And it's,
would you say your day then finishes quite early? Like, do you tend to have? Are you a morning guy? Like you do? Yeah. You feel like
this is overtime. This is overtime.
Yeah. Oh mate, I appreciate it. This is a
late night for me.
You got your pajama bottoms, and then you're ready to go to bed. You got your cup of cocoa on the side.
That's it. After 7 o'clock, I can't normally string a sentence together. I'm over. You catch me at 7 in the morning, I'm all right.
All right, Billy. Look, again, thanks so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate your time. So, where can people find you? I know you obviously. I'm going to put a link to the first couple of chapters of your book. Is that right?
That's right. So the book, Man Up the World Champion Way, you can get the first 2 chapters for free by going to my website, billyschwer.com. Pick that up. But you can get me all on the usual platforms. My corporate stuff is I use LinkedIn a lot. That's where I get that kind of business. That's where that is, on Instagram and Facebook. So that's where I'm at. You can find me.
Brilliant. Jolie, you got anything that you want to finish on, or you?
Pleasure talking to you. It's always good to talk to an ex-world champion.
Let's get it on. It's great to meet you, Joel.
Billy, thanks again. Thanks a lot for your time, and we'll catch up soon, yeah?
Love ya.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.